Currently 12:45 p.m. on this day in 2024. I am in the middle of capturing a 12+ minute video starting at 12:39 p.m. where I'm documenting the specific environment, speaking to the gang stalking system that the federal group stalking monitoring that the Los Angeles Police Department is engaged in with the people of the state, as I am in the workplace, number one, and also number two, I also live at this same apartment complex where I am working as the property manager, being molested and terrorized with impossible light activity, and under the fake sun that's at my office located at 1810 North Alvarado Street in Los Angeles, California, 90026. At the same time, I'm inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, and that's what we are going to juxtapose right now with regard to prosecuting the people of the state in Los Angeles, speaking to the people of the state that are going to federal prison and mental asylums inside of Woodside Senior Apartments, and Avanath Capital Management's employees who are terrorizing with impossible light activity that fills the defendant Tracy Banks' apartment. This is what I documented on this day. At the same time, it's 12:46 p.m. so this 12-minute video is still being captured on this day at on 2024.
All right, for purposes of what is a specific or a vivid illustration, I want you to first see this is impossible light that's shooting at an upward trajectory through a closed door little crack. This is that engineered light that doesn't have normal characteristics, but you're also looking at looking at its surface, it's supposed to appear as though this is actually dark, but actually engineered light remains, and this is why I have a shadow on what's supposed to be in the dark. The dark is supposed to be contrasted with what is light. Not only is this engineered light, but my office is still filled with engineered light that creates what is magnification of shadow, okay? And this is how the entity is maintaining what is the ongoing environment. I am subject to ongoing criminal monitoring as I turn on my light in the office. This is serving for ongoing monitoring in the engineered lit environment, okay? But that's not normal light. It's shooting through a crack in an upward trajectory. But also I want you to see, for purposes of illustration, at 12:39 p.m. And this is how you know the entity is keeping the light sources directly over me. That's what this illogical and impossible light activity shows you. So you're not just going to disregard it as the demonic or unintelligent. They're just obsessed stalkers. You're going to use this evidence against them. The placement of the light source is the hallmark where the entity is engaged in what is ongoing targeting by a government. That's how you're going to use this evidence, because you see it, and as impossible as it is, it's a direct indicator to where the light source is, and where it also is not at the same time. It's hovering right here over my head, just like you saw moments ago, but I'm using 12:39 as another vivid illustration, while the sun, which is above, but yet you're looking at light that's doing gymnastics to reach underneath a structure and underneath a doorway through a crack in the wall. and through that crack, it's magnified in size, and it's creating the shape of the objects that it's hit. That's what you see here. Just want to be clear again, common sense dictates sunlight that's coming downward as a trajectory. Just like you see my hand underneath this covered structure, the light is not going to come down. The light is going to be coming down this way. And
the entity that is gang stalking is filling Tracy Banks' apartment right now. This is why I went into this video, because the entity is filling the inside of Tracy Banks' apartment while I'm sitting on the couch in operation of my communication devices, and this is a communication device that remains on. Engineered light is sweeping east and west. That's dynamic engineered light, and what you see on her kitchen wall inside of the depths, that's a line of just engineered light that I can walk through that is speaking to light that is shooting horizontally into her apartment. That's impossible light activity. It's also demonic. It's also speaking to what is criminal surveillance, and then you're seeing what is the indication. Obviously, that's not sunlight. It's the P.O.C. of what is significant with regard to surveillance stalking with engineered light that remains inside of Tracy Banks' apartment. This is what I'm subject to in the workplace, which is why speaker companies, much like Avanath Capital Management, who is not my employer, but is nonetheless a malicious third party engaged in federal group stalking monitoring and is profiting. It is also funding domestic terrorism while its employees, just like while I'm on the workplace for third party speaker companies who is keeping me under surveillance and is engaging in a sex offense. Molestation with engineered light, it's going to be prosecuted as a sex offense. It's what it is. Pay attention. When I started the video, you didn't see this light bright on the corner on the wall. Now that I open up the front door, the engineered light that is speaking to changing in real time. This is the entity that is indeed stalking under what is the circumstances of a light source that is over Tracy Banks' apartment, unit 51 at Woodside Senior Apartments in Ontario. And then you're also mindful of the fact that the entity is keeping the fake sun at the same time while I'm capturing video still at this same moment. What is at Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens. This is not the product of sunlight either. This is where the entity is keeping the fake sun over me.
Okay, this is the normal operation of light. You're looking at engineered light that engages in what is spreading, but you're also being ignorant and not really paying close attention.
Okay, so that which is the sun that's over me at the same time on this day in 2024 is not creating any sunlight over the property inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, around her front door, piercing through horizontally through the peephole, appearing on what is the kitchen wall, creating my magnified size of my shadow. You can see my hand right here while I'm standing over here, and this is my hand that's appearing on the wall at a great distance. That's evidence of what all the neighbors are stalking. And that's what you saw RGS doing under the fake sun that was still here at 9 o'clock in the morning. This is the same engineered light that is around this same exact door frame at 5 o'clock in the evening when the fake sun is on this side of the same apartment. And this is speaking to what is the necessarily more than one sun, which defies nature. Okay, NASA has not yet told us about more than one sun. Everything that we know about the environment includes that there is one sun that would not be, as a matter of chronology. It's still over the same apartment like I documented this morning at 9 o'clock, 9:01 a.m. It is currently, as you are aware, it is currently 12:51 p.m. and the entity has the fake sun directly over the same exact apartment building. That is, while I am standing facing, let me reverse so you can see. While I am standing here looking at what is 9 o'clock, 10, 11, 12, over 1 o'clock, almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon, this is non-movement, and there's no sun on the East Coast. There's no sun in Las Vegas based on what the asininity of the demon-possessed who are gang stalking in a readily identifiable and obvious environment, speaking to the malice of a corrupt government that is practicing a satanic targeting system. It's an egregious sex offense while you're kept under surveillance in an apartment. There is literally the Fourth Amendment speaking to the requirement for a warrant of probable cause for a police department to keep you under surveillance, and this is what this is evidence of. It is also evidence of mental illness of the entity that is gang stalking you, and the government that has no legitimate interest in what you're doing in your private home and where you remain, and the evidence of the impossible over me in this same zenith like it is in Los Angeles at the same time. This is the prosecution of speaker companies, it's the prosecution of the state of California, it's the prosecution of Abnath Capital Management, it's the prosecution of the entire venue that's stalking in violation of the Violence Against Women Act. And this is what you saw RGS gang stalking under, and this is what they were doing while LAPD was gang stalking in helicopters at 11 o'clock yesterday, and what LAPD is gang stalking under, again, at the same time in the same specific environment. The specific environment is that which defies nature, so it's not only a supernatural phenomenon, I've got a pattern of that defiance of the natural occurring with regard to stalking that's conspicuously underway, and that's exactly what is underway while the demons are pacing on a tractor and in the black truck. So I'm going to get these. These are gang stalkers that are acting with impunity, and impunity is met with federal prison. Just want to be clear. This is how police are able to keep you under surveillance. License 555-58C4, an impossible light moving underneath. That's a demon-possessed person, and that engineered light is evidence of mental illness. That's the average psychopath gang stalking in California. The average sex offender monitoring my genitalia when I'm in the bathroom, and they're pacing under the fake sun, knowing exactly when my panties are down, knowing exactly what I'm doing, and they know what I'm saying right now. And RGS, they're going to mental asylums. Okay, this is the position of the fake sun after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like you already know, when you have the entity gang stalking with the Asian male that was gang stalking, that was, again, the simultaneity of the amplified noise, the demon stopping in the path with their foot on the brake, the demon crossing path wearing an RGS logo, that, as with regard to what I'm speaking, and all of a sudden a loud engine. Those are the demons that are monitoring everything that I say, and their mental illness is exhibited while they engage in that pattern of conduct. Remember, you're looking at the sky space that's directly over me at Alvarado Gardens. This is the prosecution of the entire city of Ontario, the removal of Paul Leon from office, the mental asylums for the people of the state that are going to be prosecuted, everybody in these two buildings, engage in surveillance with the psychopaths that fill the city of Ontario gang stalking together. All right, there is no sunlight that's reaching underneath a covered structure. That's a pattern of conduct by demons who know who you are. And you know about their knowledge also because the engineered light and the fake sun remains here after 5 p.m. Those are psychopaths that are pacing on Vine, psychopaths that are pacing on G Street and pacing on Vine and acting together with regard to amplified noise under the fake sun that's here in the morning and still here in the afternoon after 2 p.m. And you also know that it's still right here in alignment with Tracy Banks's patio glass door after 5 p.m. This is the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department. This is federal imprisonment. Gang stalking by sirens, crossing the path under the fake sun. They're going to prison. Stalking in violation of the Violence Against Women Act right in front of your face. This demon's license plate. Acting with this demon, Avanas can be prosecuted because the population is welcome to engage in gang stalking on its property. 9RJJ 601 is engaged in what is the fake sun that's reflecting off of his windshield is not in Los Angeles at the same time. All right, this is the asininity of gang stalking. The demon possessed are mentally ill and they are not intelligent. They're also over 55 years old. And this is what the police department relies on, gang stalking you. All right, Linda Reyes is going to federal prison. All right, all of the employees of Abnath Capital Management at Woodside are going to federal prison, and RGS employees are going to mental asylums. They're repeatedly present, engaging in the P.O.C. You know that sex offender's license plate, DBUNI? She was gang stalking under the fake sun that was right here at 11 o'clock. It's about to be 1 o'clock. It's 12:55 p.m. It's in the same exact position. And the entity is keeping this fake sun here while a whole apartment complex with a whole city, which what LA is doing, the Los Angeles Police Department in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens, which has no same sky space over unit number 41. Okay? The entity is engaging in that POC. That's speaking to the pattern of conduct that you already know the Ontario Fire Department is engaging in. This is what the demon possessed engage in when they are caught with very damning evidence. This is not the first time that I've been capturing damning evidence. This is the shutdown of the Ontario Fire Department, the disbanding of the Ontario Police, the removal of Paul Leon from office. This is what they're doing at 10:22 in the morning, 10:42 in the morning under the fake sun. Gang stalking, that's prison. 9RJJ 601 is going to prison. All right, the entity is engaged in that POC with impunity, and LAPD's criminal engagement, the pattern of conduct, is exactly what the Ontario Fire Department is engaging in. This is POC. That's called criminal summoning. It's 12:56 p.m. And remember the engineered light that's appearing inside of Tracy Banks' apartment? The Ontario Fire Department is engaged in surveillance. That's POC. License. Let's get the license plate of the Ontario Fire Department. That's demons using sirens and lights, AMR. They've engaged in kidnapping before. They're engaged in what is an unlawful threat, and they're engaged in surveillance, which you know because of the fake sun. They do the same thing at the Ovid Family Community Library. This is a show of desperation. Pay attention to what's happening in the sky space in Los Angeles, where a bunch of demons representing Ontario Fire, they're going to be removed. Under the fake sun, 1332569. Good day. Just a good old regular you got 70431V2. This is the City of Ontario criminally engaging in the POC, facilitating it, and they're all gang stalking at this venue. This is the government coming onto the grounds, directly engaging in it under the fake sun that's over me in the same manner in Los Angeles. All right, the people of the state are going to federal prison as well. It's not removing their liability while the government engages in a pattern of arriving in helicopters and airplanes, fire departments and ambulances as you prosecute the population that is fully engaged in the POC. And I want to be clear, the City of Ontario exhibits mental illness while they engage in the demonic elements of monitoring pursuant to what is a criminal act of obstruction of justice because you're documenting them. This is spectacular documentation regarding what's happening in Los Angeles at the same time.
You don't question it, but you should question it because this is entirely abnormal. This is literally the shape of the crack in the door.
They're going
Light
mental
that's
asylums.
supposedly coming
They're
downward
going-
at an
and they're going to be deported out of this country, those that are not natural-born citizens. And this is Abnath Capital Management's criminal engagement in that POC. D-Bunny, DBUNI, gang stalking, unit number 66, gang stalk with Ontario Fire Department.
That's impossible.
And doing so while I document,
and under no
the state
circumstances would it
arrived,
even
light
occur. It's
activity
covered
going
and it's going
and
into
they're
underneath the door.
monitoring me.
12:39 p.m.
I just want to be clear. The Ontario, this is the mental illness. They're here engaged in criminal summoning. They're not actually engaging in what is any lawful, legitimate services to the entity that's gang stalking, where the fake sun rises and sets. It's over the same property where it was this morning. This is POC. These are the acts of desperation, and this is while I'm documenting the fact that they're surveilling a woman in an apartment. The Ontario Fire Department, sex offenders who are mentally ill. This is going to be the removal of the Ontario International Airport, the removal of the police department, and as the fire department just confirmed, they're fully engaged in the corrupt system of federal group stalking and monitoring, and the fire chief is going to be relieved of his duties, and the fire department is entirely illegitimate, hiring the demon-possessed, maintaining this system of surveillance, and they're showing you the ways in which they do so in that specific environment, the demon-possessed. POC. It is currently, again, 12:59 p.m., and this is what I'm documenting on this day at the same time. When you're looking at this fake sun that's in the same position while I remain inside after 3:30 p.m., So that's 3+ hours from now, and it is at 5 p.m. in alignment to the same location. All right, the entity is engaging. You just see the engineer light coming through the peephole. The Ontario Fire Department and American Medical Response are the mentally ill that shall be relieved of those duties. All right, they are the ones engaging in kidnapping and facilitating the pattern of conduct via criminal summonings, what they just committed on video. This is documentation of the impunity of all those who are going to prison and mental asylums. They're all going. All right, and they are all being prosecuted for stalking in violation of the Violence Against Women Act, including the government itself. Paul Leon is fully aware of and engaging in that pattern of conduct while the City of Ontario arrives to participate in that real-time documentation of its criminal activity.
I'm giving you a vivid illustration. The entity, and this is March 14, 2022 that I'm referencing. And on March 14...
I want you to see this together. While the City of Ontario is keeping me under surveillance, gang stalking by arriving on the venue grounds to pick up a third-party gang stalker from the venue where the fake sun rises and sets and where you just watched it move over my head to go back to where I'm located while they go to pick up a third party from a facilitating venue. That's understanding the focus of the targeted individual and the mental illness of these psychopaths who are gang stalking as a corrupt entity. And it is incriminating everybody that's going to prison, Linda Reyes and all the employees, all the residents in 33 through 64, every other gang stalker, including the male that was driving the dark blue vehicle pursuant to criminal summoning. They're going to prison. Okay, it is currently, again, 1:01 p.m.
14, 2022 at 12:39 a.m. I am at the, I believe that's a state facilitating venue, Mercy House. Mercy House is monitoring American citizens. That needs to be known. I'm going to put that out there. Just like McDonald's is monitoring American citizens, Starbucks is monitoring American citizens. I have a wealth of documentation showing a lot of these companies, a lot of these agencies, these organizations that are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring the practice of what is satanic. While they are on the surface appearing to serve people, appearing to appease the people, appearing to benefit society, this is actually the malicious system that's underway, and it is on behalf and in concert with the corrupt government at that in the United States. Mercy House, which I will civilly and criminally prosecute, not only Mercy House itself, but those individuals who I have specifically documented. And Mercy House also in Orange County. Mercy House was engaged in a pattern of conduct in Orange County. But nonetheless, the entity is engaged in, and the Mercy House that is at 435 South Bonneville at 12:35 p.m. And let me be clear, as comment, you already know, not only is the sun not over the Ontario Museum of History and Art that you're looking at and hovering over me, creating this unintelligent light activity underneath and
the government's being dealt with, and so are the gang stalking people of the state, and they're being deported. Any immigrants gang stalking, they're being deported.
It's also not over 435 South Bonneville. The entity is maintaining this light source over me because I am subject to the pattern of conduct. The
deportation,
sirens are
activity creation, federal stalking, relevant positioning with the state right in your face, stalking the path.
This is the specific environment. It's called criminal summoning, and it's massive facilitation. As all of an entity is monitoring what I'm gathering on my phone while I'm reviewing my evidence, my videos, my pictures, and then the psychopath comes around in a helicopter. What you hear, the sirens in the background, it's the same thing. It's the same entity that starts sounding helicopter, and that's the same entity that's now sounding plane engines. These are psychopaths who are freaking out while I continuously expose them. Now, I want to be clear, the demon possessed, this is showing how mentally unstable they are, okay? This is showing why it is absolutely necessary. You want to prosecute, you want to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring with the government. First of all, you're a demon. Understand group stalking? This is demonic behavior.
This is demonic.
Group stalking is not your ordinary obsessed person. No. Not somebody that can't get over their ex-girlfriend. That's a stalker that somebody needs to emotionally mature. You're talking about group stalking. This is the exercise of demon possession. All right, and it's highly malicious. And this is an operation by an entity. It is not some random group. It's not just some Satan worshiping church. It's a government. And group stalking is demonic. Okay, the government is engaging in group stalking. All right, so you're going to prosecute for terrorism. And I'm giving you a vivid illustration of what is the presence of the light source over 435 South Bonneville, Mercy House, where the entity is keeping the light source. You can see it while I'm looking out of the window inside of that building. You see it squarely over my head through the crack in the roof outside. And then I step outside and you see the light source in all of its zeal. And it's in it just like this. This is not the shared sky space at 435 South Bonneville in Ontario, California. This is not the sky space where the Ontario Police Department was flying around in perimeter while that light source was over me at 435 South Bonneview. The two are not the same. The two are not occurring. We are not here and over there at Ontario looking at the same light source from the same vantage point, having that same. No, that's not. This is the maintenance of a light source, and this is not even realistic. It's hovering over the building, which should be set ablaze if it was actually the sun. In addition, it wouldn't be stationary all day long from this side till this side, and then moving to be in alignment with my bedroom window in the evening. But that is the pattern of conduct, though. That's a pattern of conduct by a demon-possessed entity that is surrounding you with a specific environment while they target you. And they're monitoring with communication devices in violation of Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2. All right, there are additional federal laws that they are in violation of. Oh, there's employment law that they're in violation of.
Such as 34 U.S.C., Section 12291, License 9CZ-CO59, gang stalking with the state. All right, gang stalking. So is RGS, gang stalking in violation of the Violence Against Women Act, and doing so with the state while you document in real time. That's exactly what I was narrating on this day at the same time in this video.
They're doing this in the workplace. Okay, so you're talking about layers on top of layers of federal prosecution and civil compensation for the damages inflicted by a government that's monitoring you. But at 12:39 p.m., there would be no sunlight. And you already know that this isn't sunlight, so I'm speaking to the illusion. There will be no sunlight inside of my office if that was the sun over 435 South Bonneview. This is how you know what 435 South Bonneview is. It's a facilitating venue. And not only that, you know even their secrets. Those are a bunch of demons affiliated with Mercy House, engaging in a highly malicious targeting system while they call themselves some organization helping the homeless. Let me be clear, everybody that had that was homeless at 435 South Bonneview, those were a bunch of homeless demons, and they were monitoring. Okay, so the government passing out these free phones, you have to pay a bill. Oh, they're able to with luxury, okay, with convenience. Not having a roof over their head, but they're group stalking and monitoring with communication devices at that. Okay, so I just want to be clear, there's nothing hindering the P.O.C. And also you're paying attention to the specific environment, not the economic status of any third party or state actor. Okay, the environment is there because the pattern of conduct is underway, and this is what you will learn. You are going to focus on the matter at hand, that is the elements. That's what controls, not some circumstance, not some anomaly that some third-party demon-possessed group stalker or state actor, wants you to focus on and be distracted by. That's why the environment is here. That's why that phenomenon is here, because there is no sunlight that's appearing inside of your office. Or
you already know when Amazon is engaged in, they're doing the same thing in LA.
And then you're going to also
federal
break down
stalking
sunlight
and stalking under Violence Against Women Act.
It doesn't even do that.
And arriving as I document. This is all of the entity acting together, exposing how they openly engage in the P.O.C. Mental illness exhibited while they're being exposed.
Position, amplifying helicopter activity, engage in criminal facilitation, monitoring with the people of the state, monitoring on communication devices at that. Okay, engaging in what is ongoing documented terrorism, a threat to my life every time, they're already threatening your life by monitoring and group stalking you. They engage in the added step of engaging in criminal summoning to further threaten your life and
P.O.C.
intimidate and threaten and harass you, okay, by a bunch of psychopaths who are not capable of handling that which they sought to dish out. Okay, these are mentally unstable. That's mentally unstable people. All right, the entity is keeping this light source over me at 435 South Bonneview because the pattern of conduct is underway. And the pattern of conduct remained underway, as you'll recall, March 13th. The entity's light source is over me at 326, 341, where I'm showing you the demon-possessed agency, the Ontario Police Department. The light source didn't stay over 435 South Bonneview. It remained over my head as I then went to the same intersection.
The Ontario Fire Department, the fire chief,
and Sierra
he's engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring.
California.
And he's engaged in facilitation of federal group stalking and monitoring. This is impunity by the state.
But
the Ontario Fire Chief is going to be removed from office.
What then, pray tell, was that light source over my head while the Ontario Police Department are engaging in what is crossing path, not driving by? Those are demons that are crossing path. They're monitoring and group stalking you. And while they do it in police vehicles and in helicopters, that's
so all they did was add the ongoing direct evidence against the state by AMR and Ontario Fire coming in engaging in the pattern of conduct.
So I'm just showing you and reminding you about what you've already seen. You remember all of the facts. You don't forget one and leave it. No, don't forget. Do not get lost in the trees. Okay. Always remember to see the forest from the trees. There's a big picture here. And you remember all the facts as you continuously put them together. All I'm doing is giving you a vivid illustration to help you piecemeal it together. All right. But there is a system underway, and this placement of this light source.
Same time in Los Angeles.
Not only is it
Ontario Fire, the fire chief, he's a gang stalking terrorist leader. He's going to be removed. A psychopath laughing while they're being prosecuted. That's a demon. They're demons.
Admission.
POC.
Because that's literally
This is
the
the city of
affect in
Ontario.
federal
This is
court.
Paul Leon's
This
removal
bold
from office.
admission
This is
to
his
what they're
removal
engaging
from
in.
office.
A bold admission
The Ontario
as to
Fire
what they're
Department,
engaging
the
in.
Ontario
You're
Police
saying
Department,
light
American
activity
Medical
appearing on
Response.
manifest, that's
Years
a
of
bold
documented
admission.
evidence.
I'm
They
not
already
right now,
know.
but you've
They
seen
came
that
and
before
arrived
in
and
the office.
provided
You've seen it outside. You've seen it
a
in my
revolutionary,
apartment.
more
You've
to
seen it outside. Well, I've
the
documented
pattern of
POC
conduct with
for
the people
years.
of the state,
The fact that they're
RGS and
demons is not
Prime,
a secret.
and Amazon
the
Prime and
entity
Avanade
that
Capital
I'm surrounded
Management.
by here, the same entity here, it's just a different zip code.
Pacing,
They
the
are
people
all
monitoring
criminally
with the
and civilly
state.
liable for what I've already documented, whether I was in San Bernardino, whether I was in Ontario, whether I was in Chino. It's one entity. Understand, you are understanding
Pacing.
what is the
Pacing.
the criminal framework of conspiracy.
Hi.
This is the government that's engaged in a conspiracy with the people. So the principles, the legal principles founded there, this is going to apply on a massive scale because the entity is monitoring you and it's doing it with the people. That's why you have the light source.
Thank you. This is the pattern of conduct license 1332569. Impossible light on the ground while demons move state vehicles. RGS is gang stalking with the state. RGS just engaged in criminal summoning. They're going to mental asylums.
Over you. So
And
the
this
entity
is
is
also the
incapable
entity
of in any
engineer
way
right behind the vehicle.
relieving or
70431B2.
helping.
The demons who are the city of Ontario are
Stalking
being
in
stalked
a
with the demons who are the
while you've
people
got
of
an
the state in
ongoing
Ontario.
conspiracy. That's why the environment is there. LAPD
Amazon
and
Prime
groups
gang
by
stalking with
themselves,
as the people of the
it's
state.
impossible for them
That's
to.
the pattern of conduct.
Okay?
And remember,
they
they're
have to come
arriving.
onto the property. They have to surround.
They're arriving while I step out to document criminal engagement, which I'm already aware of because Engineer Light fills the defendant Tracy Banks' apartment, where a population and the government is engaged in criminal surveillance, where the fake sun both rises and sets. That's the public corruption of Paul Leon, his removal from office, the fire department, the police department, American Medical Response that's contracted in Ontario to engage in domestic terrorism, not legitimate ambulance services. And the entity is doing so while you enforce your rights and prosecute them. The demon in Unit 43, gang stalking at 11 o'clock in the morning under the same exact circumstance. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm showing you what's happening at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens. That is the entity that is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, and everybody gang stalking with the corrupt government, just like you see here. This is the evidence of it. The entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct. Hold on, let me show you this. This impossible light activity while I am speaking to this very criminal engagement, and they just engaged in arriving in a fire truck and in an ambulance, and that does not render it more legitimate. It renders it specifically who are the demons and the gang stalking immigrants acting in concert with and on behalf of the corrupt government that just engaged in what is referred to as criminal summoning. Okay, I'm doing so in an environment that defies nature. Nobody is missing the fact that they're coming up and using sirens and state vehicles amongst impossible light activity with knowledge pursuant to this fake sun that's reflecting in the same manner at 11 o'clock in the morning and also over my head in the same zenith in Los Angeles, defying nature in other words, which is what I'm documenting, and the demons sound sirens and arrive in fire trucks. That's supposed to be a distraction. That's mental illness that's exhibited while the entity altogether just engaged in that POC. This is a demon that's stalking in the path, which you know conclusively because of impossible light activity. And this is somebody who's relying on the government to pay her rent while she's gang stalking, a sex offender monitoring my genitalia, over 55 years old, 7YEH777. Prison, going to federal prison. POC, and the fake sun goes right to be right where I am, where they are all focused on me, what I am doing all day and all night. Okay, this is mental illness that is actually being exposed, no longer closeted, and it is inherent to public corruption in Ontario and what is the state of California, as I'm showing you the exact same pattern of conduct in Los Angeles, where, by the way, on this day, the sun was setting, meaning it never deviated, which is the pattern of conduct which defies nature. That's inherent to that obvious pattern, rising and setting. That was the unintelligent iteration that the government just generously provided to me, because all of its co-defendants are going to prison and mental asylums. They're all going. They just concluded that. Again, okay, because the case is already complete. So they arrived pursuant to, if you were doubting that the Ontario Fire Department chief is a gang stalker, is a demon, is corrupt, is fully engaged in facilitating and engaged in obstruction of justice tactics, and engaged in psychological torture, stalking somebody conspicuously in their face, including while they enforce their rights, you just got confirming evidence of it. Okay, it is currently, again, 1:14 p.m. I want to show you a couple of things This is going to be shared on the podcast. You're mindful of all the light activity you saw, and then you saw the demons who drive fire trucks and ambulances and who are doing the exact same thing, gang stalking at Woodside by the and doing so while the entity is then arriving. All they're doing is sounding sirens. That's called criminal summoning, the same exact criminal pattern of conduct, which is also speaking to, again, the hitman Tracy Banks. This is how you have a high school graduate that's so confident in targeting someone like myself, highly educated and skilled, and also blood related to her. So there's this imaginary sense of superiority because she gave birth to me, because she has a whole team of demons that include the state of California. This is how you get that absurd result, such as a power of attorney over somebody like myself, a licensed attorney, and still maintaining what is the same exact legal skill set while I'm prosecuting a bunch of corrupt and demon-possessed psychopaths by definition. You just saw unadulterated mental illness at its finest with regard to the public corruption, the same demonic pattern of conduct, and an absolute failure with regard to looking like anything other than gang stalking. All right, because you would assume that the government's not arriving and engaging in obvious gang stalking methods for purposes of looking guilty. They are out of tactics and they engage in the obvious iteration of the P.O.C. where the state's engaging in that pattern of conduct. It's called criminal summoning, and that's all that they have at their disposal. And it is an obvious iteration of that same P.O.C. It doesn't change the engineered light. It doesn't change the fake sun. It doesn't change the same defendant. That is the state. All right, I want you to witness what is the fire chief. So since the Ontario Fire is arriving, let's go ahead and reference that, as a matter of fact, while we are there, because this is speaking to the fire chief who is going to be removed while his office, the department, the Ontario Fire Department, which is speaking to the Ontario, the city of Ontario, where the entity is gang stalking through the airport, where the city of Ontario is gang stalking through the police department, where the city of Ontario is gang stalking with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, and also a routine documented pattern of kidnapping. And the fire chief, who is Michael Gherkin, is hereby being removed from office while you're seeing what is no coincidence and what is no reasonable or actual basis of ignorance when you are facilitating the P.O.C. You're going to be prosecuted for that which you facilitate, whether you want to admit to knowing about facilitating gang stalking or not, especially while you are the government itself, doing so in the specific environment and doing so in the same manner that the Los Angeles Police Department, the city of Los Angeles, the corrupt, demon-possessed, gang stalking, corrupt mayor Karen Bass is aware of and facilitated as well. Michael Gherkin is who is being represented, and Paul Leon are who are being represented while you're looking at that department gang stalking in plain view, engaging in what is criminal acts of obstruction of justice, and exercising fictitious authority under the law while they are in this specific environment, and engaging in what is criminal summoning, which is a malicious tactic by the government that is corrupt. It's public corruption in operation in real time while they arrive, while I'm also, not coincidentally, in the midst of capturing video. And you have that department that is in the same specific environment, in the amongst the same impossible light activity, which is never going to be dismissed. The entity is relying on your looking at their badge to ignore this specific environment, and it will never be the case. That's all these demons are relying on. So if a badge shows up, all of a sudden the fake sun becomes irrelevant, and all of a sudden the engineer light becomes irrelevant. All of a sudden the gang stalking, the criminal acts that are in conformity in an entirely different region at the same time, such as what I documented on this day in Los Angeles at the same exact time. That is supposed to be, this is what the ill-equipped, the highly corrupt and unintelligent bullies, just because they're bullies, that doesn't make them smart. Okay, they're not actually intelligent or elite. They're just bullies that engage in kidnapping through that same fire department, kidnapping through that same ambulatory service. AMR, there are people that are going to prison. Okay, this is the entity that's doing so under the fake sun, and I want to be clear, Michael Gherkin is being dealt with under federal law with regard to the removal of this fire department because they engaged in what is an intolerable basis. Not only are they gang stalking, speaking to public corruption and an inevitable prosecution, but they engaged in kidnapping with the same corrupt to be disbanded Ontario Police Department. And I want to be clear, they arrived with an ambulance and a fire department in particular to communicate a threat. And it is also reasonably legally analyzed as a threat because this same police department and the police AMR, ambulance, have engaged in kidnapping me before. So understand, they're not only engaging in what is the surface level assessment, like you're supposed to forget the specific environment, you're supposed to forget what is supernatural on its face while I'm showing you on this same day at the same time. They're also communicating a threat while they know that I am documenting them, and the same kidnappers arrive. Not the same kidnappers with regard to the specific demons who are operating those state vehicles, but the same department that has committed a kidnapping in the past on more than one occasion pursuant to criminal summoning while gang stalking me in an effort to obstruct justice because they are monitoring my documentation. That's why they're also, and that's how you're going to legally analyze the stalker's behavior when they're gang stalking you. They are doing so, I want to be clear, to communicate a threat. For kidnapping, again, pursuant to what is the unlawful act seeking to falsely depict the character. So you have the kidnappers arrive and go pick up a third party at the venue. They're all being prosecuted. The entire venue, and let me be clear again while we're in the midst of this video. The Daryl J. Carter, Avanath Capital Management, the entity that's being prosecuted is not only gang stalking, as I'm showing you at Woodside. They have multiple properties where they are a threat to American citizens. They have 108 properties to be told total, and they have in 14 states and in 54 cities. This is what their statistics say on their homepage. And I want you to see what is throughout Northern California, and they're gang stalking. They're gang stalking with the very residents and the employees of the corrupt gang stalking company. And this is the threat that speaker companies, as you're looking at the pattern of conduct like I documented on this day at the same time. And I'm speaking to what it is that I'm discussing in my video on this day in 2024. The city of Ontario, the demon-possessed gang stalking entity in the same state in a different county, engaged in the same exact iteration. While I'm speaking to the gang stalking entity that engages in criminal summoning, I want to be clear, this is the unintelligent tactics. So they employ engaging in what is criminal summoning for you to look at and further confirm what is outside of any coincidence. When you are understanding the totality of circumstances, the specific environment, on top of the fact that they engage in criminal summoning in real time under the fake sun that's still going to be here after 5 p.m. That is the very foolish conduct of what are desperate demons who are exhibiting psychopathic behaviors that are a threat to the public. That, in addition to what is engaging in kidnapping, while masquerading as a legitimate fire department, and doing so in concert with corrupt departments like the Ontario Police and American Medical Response, who's contracted with the City of Ontario not to engage in facilitating terrorism and kidnapping like they have been, and threatening like they just did on video. All right, but the entity is doing so pursuant to knowledge of the fact that I'm documenting that, and it is no deterrence, and not only that, it's no distraction. You witness RGS, you witness Avanath Capital Management, you witnessed Amazon Prime, and you witness what is the City of Ontario. The population is the City of Ontario. The government is engaging in this federal group stalking and monitoring program of psychological torture. They're doing it in concert with this hitman, Tracy Banks, this high school graduate, who is, again, overly confident based on the group stalking P.O.C., thinking that more demons are going to overwhelm the blood of Christ. They're going to somehow outsmart somebody that walks with Christ and has been given the wisdom of God to overwhelm and defeat Satan and all of his demons, and it's going to result in a massive return to sender in federal court. I'm prosecuting this company. I'm prosecuting its employees. I'm prosecuting the residents who are all in the same legally relevant status. They're the people of the state. Avanath Capital Management is gang stalking as a third party, and they just engaged in it on video with what is Ontario Fire Department and Avanath, and what is the